Hello guys! Do you know what is the best way to negotiate with Putin? Of course, with drones and long-range missiles. And that is why tonight Ukrainian armed forces have sent some drones to the heart of Russia, Moscow, and they have delivered a beautiful message. All of its territory is vulnerable. Russians had to close two Moscow airports, Domodedovo and Vnukovo. It was all over the news, and believe me, it is a very dangerous symptom, and Putin is deadly afraid that such visits to Moscow and other important, from his perspective, cities of Russia can destabilize his regime. So I do hope that in this months that follow, we will pay more of such visits, maybe even with some sparks. Also, today Ukrainian drones have targeted an arsenal in Bryansk, 8 explosions, serious detonation, and lots of evil tools of war destroyed. This was also a week totally dedicated to the anxiety while observing the US elections, and now we know the name of the next president. It is Donald Trump, and nobody knows what will come next. But everyone is very attentive and anxious, like I think literally everywhere in the world. So guys, in the United States, even if you don't want to be super important, you are. And also, North Korean soldiers keep coming to Kursk region. There are thousands more to come, and the world is watching. But Ukrainians are doing our best, and we have targeted more oil refineries, military bases, and even a chemical plant in Tula, which was responsible for the production of various explosives. So let's discuss these most important events of the week, but with a focus on Ukrainian drones in Moscow. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Russia defeated, subscribe. We will discuss that on the channel soon, and don't be afraid of that. It's a natural process because all empires sooner or later collapse, and we witness this process online. So, let's begin with this beautiful and meaningful message that Ukrainian drones have sent to the Kremlin. It is very easy to reach it because Russia does not have normal air defense and actually is not ready to protect itself. And North Korean soldiers in Kursk is another proof of that. You may say, well, no serious explosions and fires in Moscow, but I will contradict. This means for Putin more than any serious explosions in Kursk or Belgorod, because he keeps hiding these events. It's easy to distract and manipulate people's opinion with such a strong propaganda machine. If you look at the occupation of Kursk, for example, like the temporarily control of many settlements by the Ukrainian armed forces, they did everything not to focus on the event. And it is easy because it's very far away from Moscow, and for Putin, people live only in Moscow or St. Petersburg. This is where they can protest, they can do something bad for his regime. Elsewhere, he does not respect them at all. And that is why actually the fact that war is already in like 8-10 Russian regions on the border with Ukraine is not on Russian news. They keep pretending everything goes according to the plan, together with explosions in Belgorod, in Kursk, in Rostov, in Lipetsk, in Novgorod, in Bryansk, in Voronezh, in Volgograd, in Krasnodar, in Rostov. Just think about that, guys. I don't need to write lists. It's everywhere on the news. But not in Russia. In Russia, they are hiding the information, but it's impossible to hide the explosions in Moscow or even drones. Because of these drones, they had to stop work of two big airports, Vnukovo and Domodedovo. They were full of people, serious Russians who needed to travel elsewhere. And they were anxious, they were nervous, what was happening. All of the skies about Moscow seemed dangerous to them. And what is more important, it was all over Russian television, because with all of your propaganda machine, it is impossible to hide what is happening in Moscow. So I do believe that similar visits will repeat, especially until we have a permission to strike back, until we have a new president in the office. And this is a period of this turbulence and chaos. So maybe Ukrainian drones will keep paying such visits, which is very good for the distortion of this image of Putin that many among his population have, believing he's a protector when he is the one who brought war not only to Ukraine but attention to Russia. Subscribe to see the collapse of Putin. This will be a great show, and I'm sure we will discuss it here on the channel. And right now, apart from this Russian vulnerability, war in many of its regions, we also see that Putin needed to invite thousands of North Korean soldiers. Actually, according to the agreement that he has with North Korean dictators, wanted to say leaders, up to 100,000 of them can come to fight. And I wonder, why is it so easy for authoritarian regimes to back up each other? They have signed that agreement and dozens of thousands of North Koreans are here and more to come. Why nobody wants to sign a similar agreement with us? Guys, what's wrong? And what made me really furious is the article in the New York Times. I've actually shared it in our community tab. You may come and read if you wish, which says that it may be that Ukraine may lose some of its positions in the Kursk region because Ukraine lacks people, forgetting to mention that Russia is backed up by North Korean troops. 50,000 of them are amassing on the border. 50,000, and lots of them are North Koreans. And forgetting to mention that Ukraine is not backed up by anyone. I don't know why people are so afraid of escalation, and they are not afraid of escalation and demotivation in Ukraine. Because guys, if you lose us, of course, it's deadly for us, but it is also deadly for you. Trust me, in 5-10 years, you don't want to lose us. And look at what is happening now. We are not allowed to strike back with long-range missiles on arsenals that are used to kill us. We receive the support really slowly, and because Budapest Memorandum is nothing. It is everything for us not to have nuclear weapons because we've promised, but to protect us without nuclear weapons, no, it's not an obligation. And we don't see any armies ready to back up Ukrainians, as North Koreans do with Russia. Just a simple agreement. Don't you think it's a little bit demotivating here? Yes, we know we will keep fighting. But sometimes I feel this injustice as a Ukrainian. And what do we do when we feel bad? We donate, and we keep doing what we can. And Ukrainian drones keep visiting Russian military objects and legitimate targets. And what is good, this drone warfare develops really quickly, and now 1,500 kilometers is not a problem for a Ukrainian drone and a problem for Russian air defense. And for example, just this week we have targeted a chemical plant in Tula, which was producing various explosives for Russian military industry. And also it was good that an oil refinery was targeted, and most importantly, many other targets that I do not report on the channel because they are close to the front lines or on the front lines. But for example, according to General Syrsky report, in October alone, we've neutralized 52,000 various military objects of Russia with Ukrainian drones, which is crazy, guys. And President Zelensky also said that 100 of Ukrainian missiles were produced this year. This is just a start. We did not have this production before. It's actually really difficult to launch it during the times of the full-scale war, but we are doing our best. And Russia is doing its worst. And actually, there are signals they have troubles inside because they keep arresting generals, they keep neutralizing, how do you say it, alternative military leaders, like the head of the Wagner group, once the best friend of Prigozhin, who was found drowned somewhere in Russia in a lake. And this is a traditional Russian way to solve problems, so maybe one beautiful day they will solve their problem in Kremlin the very same way. Subscribe to see that, and please share the videos on your social media platforms. I know that many people are talking about peace plan of President Trump. Without any assumptions, I have a feeling he doesn't have one. And right now, there are so many different politicians saying different things all around the world, saying it will be good, it will be bad, and so on. And I think that we are still to shape that opinion. And actually, Trump seems to be very emotional, and he sometimes changes his opinions quickly. So it's totally unpredictable. It can be bad, then good, good, then bad. But you know that I'm always honest with you, and I have to be honest. I was very offended by the video that Trump's son shared on X, depicting the president of Zelensky and his money falling around him. And I want to remind people that warmonger is in the Kremlin, and the war will end the moment they leave our country. All we want is 1991 borders. And of course, reparations from Russia, because they've destroyed a lot in my country. Lives, houses, hospitals, and unpunished evil grows. No one in Ukraine will accept closing the eyes on that. Can you imagine living next to a killer of your family and your neighbors persuade you, it's okay, it's okay. It's never okay. So by humiliating Zelensky, he may be imperfect, but you humiliate Ukraine and thousands of innocent lives lost. So I hope these things will not first repeat, and second, that they don't demonstrate the vision of the American people. Otherwise, we are in a very big problem. But we are in a very big problem with authoritarian regimes uniting. We clearly see it between Russia, China, North Korea, Iran. And I hope that EU leaders, American leaders understand it is not just about Ukraine. It is about the change of the world order. And I'm sure that all sane people understand that we will not enjoy living in the authoritarian darkness. So share to be a member of the community that stands for freedom, and join the channel, subscribe. Keep us fight against Russian propaganda fakes. Unfortunately, there are too many and they still shape people's opinion. Remember to join me on X. I typically express my emotions there. Also follow me on Instagram and Threads. And we have a beautiful community in Discord. All the links of the social media platforms are in the description of this video. We also have a beautiful merch shop where there are lots of good items, and a new Christmas collection is coming that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. And once again, you see, we need your support, and please be active with your representatives, with your local authorities, with anyone, because it is very, very unjust to appease the evil and forget about justice. It is not a good sign, never. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for being friends of Ukraine. And let's be optimistic. These are cats, so I was literally vlogging with cats. Thank you so much once again, and Slava Ukraini!